Welcome back to I'm Still Here. I'm Larry.
And I'm Heather. In 1998, I was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer at the age of 26. It changed everything for us, but I'm still here.
In this episode, we're going to talk about your role in cancer treatment.
Yeah, so I get so many questions about what did you do? And we know it's not, it's so hard to break it down into like one specific thing. And we're all different, right? But we were talking about how we could really kind of tell you about the different areas of focus that I really spent my time and energy on as I was going through treatment and kind of that post-diagnosis to get myself kind of rolling on the right track, right?
For sure. And you get a lot of questions. Just got, one this morning.
Yeah.
And they're great. They're great questions.
Yeah.
We tried to think of, okay, how do we cover a lot of the same questions that you get in, a few episodes. This will probably be 3 or 4 episodes of, a lot of the, maybe not answering the questions outright,
right,
but covering and then indirectly those questions. So we kind of broke this down into 4 areas. We're debating on what we call them. They are just 4 areas of what she focused on a daily basis. And they are, the mental side of things. She took that very serious. The physical side of things, and that can be exercising, that can be, honestly, the food that you eat, it can be the rest that you get, all of those, we'll cover those later. The spirituality, and that can be different for everybody, but that was a big part of her healing. And then finally, the medical part of it, you going to the doctor and getting treatment, and the people involved in that, and we're going to touch on that later. But today we're going to talk about the mental side of it, what you did mentally on a daily basis, because it certainly wasn't all roses, right? I mean, it certainly wasn't, every day is butterflies, and you woke up in the morning and you were just mentally right and you smiled and skipped into the kitchen. No, I mean, that wasn't the case.
No, not at all. And honestly, I was just trying to build a base of how do I do something every day to help myself feel like I was playing a role. So I kind of gave myself the title of like being the captain of my wellness team, right? So I wanted to do something. I didn't want to be a fix-me patient. I didn't want to be waiting around for the next appointment for something to happen. Just was really important to me to be able to kind of start thinking about how I could use, the life that I had, the time that I had, to move forward and hopefully make a difference in terms of, my cancer treatment. So
yeah, and I mean, I don't actually know where you got this, or maybe you were just born with this, but some of the things that you did in picturing, getting a mental picture of the medicine, the food, talk a little bit about that. I mean, did you read it somewhere and kind of steal that idea, or did you just say, no, this is what works for me?
It's funny when you say that. This was a long time ago, and I feel like I keep saying that. But I think one of the things that spurred that for me was that a woman sent me a cassette tape of Bernie Siegel, who wrote Love, Medicine, and Miracles. He was a doctor that was very famous at the time for like visualization and things like that. And this woman didn't know me from anybody. She was kind of a friend of a friend of friend sort of situation. But she had been dealing with cancer for a while, and she was also looking into everything she could do besides treatment, as well as treatment, I should say. I am a proponent of treatment for sure. Yeah. But anyway, she sent me this tape and she said, listen to this every day. And I think that's what really cued me into like, oh, wait a second. And it was a very simple visualization about kind of like, feeling the light come into your body and all these kind of things. But it just made me go, wait a second, what I'm thinking about really matters, makes a big difference in how I feel and how I'm able to kind of approach everything.
So get, as detailed as you can, because I know, you'd go in for chemo treatment and stuff, and it wasn't a negative thing for you. even though it was going to make you feel not good and all
Yeah.
that. But you kind of embraced that and you switched it around, and that was so impressive. And
Yeah, so I really took this and started to learn about visualization and realized, oh, wait, I can use this for my benefit all the time. So I got, of course, with chemo and things like that, people are talking about how sick you're going to be and how you're going to feel terrible and blah, blah, blah. And just to use my drug that I referenced last time, adriamycin, everybody calls that the red devil. And people are like, because it's so hard on you and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, it means it's so effective. It's so good, right? So I would think about, this red devil coming in and actually like targeting those cancer cells and doing all of the things that just would be really empowering to me. And I took it a long ways. I mean, I literally, even as I got into some of my really serious treatment, I had visualization tapes made I worked with a therapist in the Ann Arbor area specific to my medicine. So when they put them in, I started listening to that stuff. And it just, it really just helped me change how I felt about chemo, and even or any of the medicines I've been on a medicine since 2004, Foslodex, and even that I hear people talk about it in a way that I don't view it at all. Like I look at the positives in my treatment, and I don't, I'm not going to focus on the things that are maybe a little bit uncomfortable. I mean, I'll take uncomfortable in life versus, being upset with that kind of stuff. So
I remember you thinking you're starving the cancer because, your cancer was hormone driven. Yep. So you like, okay, I'm going to get rid of hormones. Ha, cancer, you are starving. And and you pictured that happening, which was, I know it was just you and you just do that. I'm telling you from other people's perspective, there's going to be a lot of people that hear that and go, oh, no shit. Huh, I can do that. That's something we can do. And you just did it.
Yeah, I think, you don't have to necessarily be as intense as I was or can be. No. But I also think that's really what gave me the energy and helped me feel hopeful. All of those things was really being able to kind of play a big role, and my thoughts were the number one thing. So
and so also which goes into that, I'd walk into the bathroom in the morning and getting ready for school and stuff, and look up and there would be quotes all over the mirror and stuff. Talk about that.
Yeah, this is like self-development or whatever, personal development 101, right? Like you do the things you see are what you focus on. It's kind of similar to like when you get a new car or a new car to you start seeing all of those cars on the roads, right? So I would put quotes, I'd put quotes up on the mirror. Mm-hmm. Every day I'm killing cancer, or maybe it would be a verse, or, it would be all of these things, but I would just have them as reminders.
In your car.
In my car, mirror, you can put them everywhere, so.
And it just, I think, for you, because every day was not sunshine by any means. You guys know it was so hard. It is so hard.
Yeah.
If you're going through it right now, it's a difficult thing, and just those things to maybe mentally get you back on track.
Right.
Maybe you have something specific to that.
Well, and I guess what I was going to say with that is that, like, I realized that none of it was going to be harmful, right? So I really was very much of the mindset of like, if it's not going to be harmful and it's not taxing on me to do it, and it actually makes me feel better, then I'm going to try it. I'm going to do it, right? So like putting a quote on a mirror was, something that was helpful to me. Yeah. And it also just kind of, it kept us all in the game, right? I guess in terms of this is what the priority is for me right now. So
okay. So I'm a big believer, and I coach my kids and do this, is you'll become your 5 best friends. I truly believe that. I think the people that you hang out with, you adopt what they do. You start doing positively or negatively or those kind of things. I think you did that to some extent in the cancer realm. I think you built your bubble. were the captain of your team, and I think you did surround yourself with, I don't want to say positivity because that's the wrong word here.
Right.
But
I think I was trying to draw inspiration in any way that I could get it, right? So it looked a lot different in 1999 and 2000 and things like that. And when I think about role models, Lance Armstrong was somebody who was going through, and I don't care how you feel about Lance, he kicked cancer's ass, right? Like, I mean,
cheater.
It is what it is, right? But he did. I read his book. It's not about the bike, and I remember like drawing inspiration from that. And also like I feel like it was early 2000s also that like Michael J. Fox came out talking about his Parkinson's. And again, just he really chose an attitude of I'm going to do everything I can do. I'm going to embrace my life to the best of my ability. It was things like that, anything that I could find to kind of help guide me. But I also would take that kind of stuff and I had this red notebook. And I started it right at the beginning of my treatment. And I would put things that I found in it. So like quotes or scriptures or whatever it was, I would write them down, and my red notebook went everywhere with me for one thing. And I would also just review it on a daily basis, and sometimes I would rewrite things because I know that's how kind of things go into my brain. So
yeah, you still do that today. I mean, that carries on. Maybe this worked, but maybe you could talk a little bit how writing and you coexist.
Yeah, so like any sort of writing, I feel like there's this ongoing track in my head of thoughts all the time. And sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're negative. But when they're negative, I almost get worked up, with them continuing to go around and around and around. So one thing that I found was that I could write them, and it was a way to dump those thoughts. So I literally sometimes recently, like I will start a journal entry and it literally says, write, just whatever comes to your brain. And that helps me kind of get rid of the things that I'm really kind of ruminating on that I know are not doing me any good. But it also like would help me to relieve my stress in ways of, kind of that list in your head or those things. One thing that was really important to me because Sydney was so young, she was 14 months old when we were diagnosed. So as I'm going through, especially this first year of treatment, I would think, oh, there's so many things I want to tell her. And so I literally just started writing letters to her, and it eventually became more of a book. But just being able to say, like, this is what I'm hoping for you, Sid, or this is what I want, or this is who, And
you didn't do that to the extent of, I'm going to die, here's these letters.
No.
It wasn't that.
No, it wasn't that. And I think there's a kind of maybe a careful balance of that, or that's where you also have to choose what's best for you. I could do that in a way that I perceived it as just being able to like, oh, I said that. And so hopefully I'll be able to say it in person. And I think, a lot of times I did, of course, but it wasn't meant for me. It didn't take me down this path of doom, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah. Which turned into a book. I don't know if you've read it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for the people listening to this, somebody might think, well, I just don't write, and that's fine. I think everybody can journal. I think that's
agree.
a capability, even if you've never done it before.
Or you can actually probably verbally dump it also, do a voice memo type of thing or something like that.
There's definitely different avenues that I think for the person get them to the same goal of is, making them mentally right and being able to take on the next challenge or get through the next hour or whatever that is.
I should say too, one of the things is like mentally, I set a goal. Now I'm an occupational therapist, so we know that goals, that's kind of what the whole premise of being an OT is setting a goal. And, my big lofty goal was that I would see Sydney go to kindergarten. And it felt like a big...
Yeah. Well, and if you didn't see the previous episodes, you were given a diagnosis where
yeah, I mean,
get your affairs in order, right?
Yeah, my first doctor told me to get my affairs in order. So I just knew that it was definitely sort of an uphill battle, I guess, but anything that I could do. So I remember setting that goal of watching her or seeing her go to kindergarten. But then you break it down into kind of what are you going to do each day? And so I kind of really started this daily schedule, We talked in a previous episode about how I did choose to have Sydney go to daycare or to a babysitter every day so that I could really come home and focus on myself and kind of these areas that we're talking about. And it just changes everything. It gave me also the opportunity to really learn about how my brain worked and how it processed things. And I remember so many things like where I would be, feeling something, some sort of ache somewhere, right?
Big. Yeah.
It was all the time. And so I would feel an ache and I would be able to turn that around and say, no, that's the chemo working, or that's the treatment working, might be a better way to say it, or that's it's not pain, it's your bone healing. Or I really spent a lot of time doing that, countering every negative thought, because it felt like I was either going down or I could pull myself back up. And sometimes too, I would realize that I needed you to help me do that, right? Yep. So we've kind of developed the system over time where
you freak out and I say it'll be okay. And
yeah, I usually wait a couple days before I tell him, because when I think a thought and I think, oh, that hurts or that doesn't feel right or whatever,